Today we are going to talk about something that every single renter in Singapore needs to watch. Okay?
Tenant.
Tenant lah. Rental is also tenant lah. So whether you are a fresh grad renting your own place, or you have an expat that just landed in Singapore, or even you are a seasoned renter in Singapore, a seasoned tenant that has been renting for many years, okay, you should be listening to this.
Basically, if you have ever signed a piece of paper and think, I read the details later, or you know, like your handphone, right, agree to terms and conditions, just scroll down, check yes and agree, right? This one is for you. I'm Joel.
And I'm Alan.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Property Wealth Call. Right, we're going to deep dive into your tenancy agreement. Specifically, the clauses that people usually just look over. Alright, and then you sign without understanding. And then later, when things go sideways, then they regret. Especially when the impact is actually cost. And then they get stuck in a bad relationship with the landlord and then want to exit, cannot exit.
Hey, and trust me, this is not the obscure legal stuff. These are real world clauses that is basically in every single tenancy that we sign in Singapore. Okay? We are going to break them down in plain English and we're not going to use the legal jargon and all this kind of thing. Okay? So we will be telling you what they mean, what are the implications will be, and what you should be looking out for.
And then today we're going to cover the biggest three that usually overlook. Number one will be the diplomatic clause. Number two, the aircon servicing clause. And the one that always trips people over, that all the tenants always overlook, is the minor repair clause, also known as wear and tear problem.
Or the negligence problem.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so let's kick it off with the diplomatic clause. Okay, or some people call it the early termination clause, or also the get out siam clause.
Get out of jail.
Okay, so Alan, let's set the scene for us. What exactly is the dip clause?
Okay, so imagine that you are in a 2-year lease, you settle in happy, and then boom, your company send you away, send you to London or send you to Thailand. Okay, so when this happens, or your employment get terminated, you got fired. Okay, this is the worst thing. What happens if you have no diplomatic clause, right? You are contractually obligated to stay on and pay the rent for the remaining months of however long your tenancy remains. Okay, that can be like tens of thousands of dollars. Can be a lot of money. Okay,
pain. This one
yes.
Pain. So the paying rental for a place they are not even going to be living in. That's a dream, not
dream,
the good
nightmare.
Nightmare. Okay, this is exactly what the clause is designed to prevent, right? The diplomatic clause allows the tenant to legally break the lease early without heavy financial penalties. Only if certain qualifying circumstances arise, right? Like being transferred out of Singapore, or you lose your job. I mean, maybe not to your pork, not to your fire, maybe got retrenched lah.
Yeah, okay. So here's the first thing that you will ask who can invoke the clause? Okay, in almost all cases, right, the clause is written specifically for the tenant to use. Okay, diplomatic clause is for the tenant. Okay, so the landlord cannot use it to kick you out of the place early. So it's kind of, you have protection against it also. Yeah.
So it is also worth noting that this clause is typically only applicable for leases of 12 months or longer. You won't see this kind of diplomatic clause in 6 months.
Yeah, usually will not see that.
Yeah, usually only 24 months, sometimes 12 months, depending on landlord.
Yeah. So how does the timing work? The 2-year lease example. Okay, so in the most common scenario that we see, the diplomatic clause, right, usually kicks in after the first year of the tenancy. That is 12 months. So you need to stay 12 months in minimum before you can invoke it.
Right, and once this 12 months is up, if you need to activate, then you must give 2 months notice. So in real terms, the earliest you can move out is 14 months into a 24-month lease.
Yes, so there's an important number to remember, 14 months. You are not getting out on the month 12. Okay, you are giving a notice on month 12 and then moving out on month 14. So you can also just pay the last 2 months and just move out straight away.
Yeah. So now, in order to invoke this clause, what do you actually need, right? You can't just say, hey, I want to leave, then you zao, right? Cannot, not possible, right? So you actually need to provide documentary evidence. So usually it is a letter from your company, the company letterhead, clearly stating that you are being relocated out of Singapore or that your employment in Singapore has been terminated, right? Also, there are some landlords that also will request for a termination of your employment pass from Ministry of Manpower, all right? So this one, no letter, no official notice, no termination.
Yeah, so you need to do that. And that also brings us to the reimbursement clause. Okay, so this is the sibling clause. Whenever you see a diplomatic clause, you will see a reimbursement one. So it is for what, Joao?
So when you rent a property, the landlord typically paid a commission to their agent, like you or me, right? Usually it's 1 month equivalent rental for a 2-year lease. So if you invoke the diplomatic clause and exit early, you are expected to reimburse the landlord for the portion of the agent fee that hasn't been fulfilled yet.
Yeah, so it's calculated on a pro rata basis. So let me give you an example. So let's say you sign a 2-year lease and the agent fee is 1 month of the rental. So let's say it's $5,000. Okay, so you invoke the diplomatic clause, you give 2 months notice, and then you move out on the month 14. Okay, that means that you stayed in the property for 14 months out of 24 months. Then balance, there will be 10 months. So roughly 42% of the tenancy is unserved. So it's outstanding, basically. So you owe about 42% of that $5,000 that you need to pay back to the landlord.
So technically, this is still not a free early exit. You're still hooked on this pro rata agent commission, right? But it's still significantly better than having to pay and fulfill the rest of your tenancy agreement.
Yeah, that's 10 months of rental.
Yeah, correct.
So it's 50,000 if you based on 5,000.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So there's a very critical point for people that is negotiating their TA. So not every lease, right, automatically includes one. It's not automatic one, okay? Especially for Singaporeans and PR. Because historically, the clause is more commonly given to expats, the foreigners. So this doesn't mean that you cannot ask for it. Okay?
Right. So if you are a Singaporean or PR and you are in a role that there's a chance of you relocating, right, and you just want flexibility, negotiate for an early termination clause. It's not worded as a diplomatic clause anymore. It is an early termination clause before you sign. Once the TA is signed and stamped, to add clauses, to edit clause, usually very difficult.
You need to renegotiate the whole contract again.
Correct.
Okay. So one more thing. What happens if you try to break the lease without this diplomatic clause? That means that you try to just break lease on it.
Just run.
Okay. This is what we call the kind of break lease situation. It is messy, it's expensive. Okay. So you might be liable to continue to rent, right? Up to the date, a new tenant is being found. Okay, that's provided your landlord is okay for that. Okay, and the cost of securing the new tenant in, so agent commission, repainting, touch up, that anything that comes with the tenant negotiation, it adds up quite quickly.
So basically, if you don't do this properly, you're paying for somebody else to stay in your apartment. So not the best scenario lah.
Yeah, so not ideal at all. Don't do that. Yeah.
So bottom line on the diplomatic clause, check if it's in your TA. If it is, understand the minimum stay period, the notice period, and also your reimbursement obligation. And if it's not there, if you require it, ask for it before you sign.
Yeah, so that's all about deployment costs. So moving on to something that seems very simple but causes a lot of dispute between the tenant and landlord, the aircon servicing clause.
Okay, and honestly, this is one of those clauses where the devil truly lies in the details, because on the surface, it actually looks very straightforward, right? You know, tenant service aircon, but what does servicing actually include? And this is where things get a little bit blurred.
Yeah, so also I have to say, for somebody who stays in Singapore, right, aircon is not a luxury, it's for survival. You'll get cooked alive if you don't have an aircon. If you skip like servicing your aircon, right, you are not just risking like a fine from your landlord, right? You are risking your sanity.
Yeah, 33 degrees at midnight, no aircon. This is actually a medical emergency.
Okay, so start with the baseline. In virtually every single TA in Singapore, the tenant is responsible for regular aircon servicing, typically once every 3 months. So that means that 4 times a year, you are calling a company to come in, clean the filters, check the system, and make sure everything working properly.
And the cost of that servicing typically range from $30 to $100 per indoor unit per session, depending on the type of unit, whether it is wall-mounted, cassette, or ducted system, the company you engage, and how many units are in the apartment, right? So if you have 3 units in a condo, you're looking anywhere around $90 to $300 per quarter visit. So budget for it.
Okay, so where it gets complicated is these 2 things, chemical wash and gas top-up.
Let's do gas top-up first. Okay, so every aircon uses a refrigerant gas to cool the air, like your refrigerator, right? Over time, in normal usage, small amounts of gas can dissipate. So during a routine quarterly service, the aircon technician might say, hey, the gas a bit low, pressure a bit low, need to top up. Is this at the tenant's cost?
Generally, yes. Okay, a routine gas top-up during the regular servicing, right, is considered a maintenance cost, so it falls under the tenant. Okay, think of it like the adding air to your car tire. You definitely have to do that. Normal upkeep.
So, but this is where it gets different. Okay, if your aircon needs gas top up repeatedly, right? Every 3 months, aircon man tell you need to gas top up, right? That's a red flag. Means there's a gas leak somewhere in the system, and the leak is not it's a defect. Not normal wear and tear. Repairing the leak is landlord's responsibility.
Yeah. So if a technician comes every quarter, at every single time they say, hey, gas low. It's not like bad luck. There's a leak. It's like your tire. Every 3 days you need to pump air. Confirm it's punctured already. Okay. So don't just keep topping up and then hoping that suddenly it will not leak again. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't just. So as tenant, right, don't blindly top up right? Every time they top up, right, then you look at your contract, must top up.
Yeah.
Don't just top up. Remember, report.
Yeah, so you must keep your servicing records. So if the technician recommends a gas top up, right, you must document it usually they will put it into the servicing records. So if it keeps happening, right, you have evidence to show your landlord, hey, I did so many times already. Not my problem. There's a leak. Please go and fix it.
So next, chemical wash. This one, this is basically a deeper, more thorough cleaning of the aircon unit. The technician usually dismantle the whole indoor unit, soak the components inside a chemical solution to clean everything out, especially the coil. And it's typically more expensive, usually about $80 to $150 per unit, sometimes more.
So this is where the tenants and landlord, right, argue the most. Okay, is chemical washing, right, tenants' responsibility or the landlord's?
And the honest answer is, it really depends what's written in your TA. Right? There's no fixed law saying that, especially for private, and even for HDB, right? There's no law that states that who is supposed to be responsible. Some TA will say tenant pay quarterly servicing, including chemical wash, and some doesn't. So sometimes tenant pay for it at the end of tenancy. Some say landlord must cover.
Yeah. So a lot of tenants, they sign the TA without realizing the agreement includes a clause saying that they must do chemical washing before handing over. That means they need to do one round before they hand back to the landlord. At the end of the 2 years, suddenly they are hit with the unexpected bill.
So our advice to all the tenants out there, right? Read before you sign. Read it carefully. Does it say quarterly servicing? Ask the agent, right, what it includes. Does it specifically mention the chemical wash? If so, negotiate whether it's included in routine servicing or is it separate cost. Get this spelled out clearly.
Okay, so there's another pro tip that's from me. Please get an annual servicing contract with a reputable company, right, when you move in. Don't like every time look for like ad hoc one, different one, then the recording is not good, everything. Okay, so it takes the hassle out of like the remembering every time, every quarter you need to service, and you have all the paper trail, right, from a single company for your servicing records. This protects you a lot, and if there's any dispute at the end, you have something to show.
Lastly, always keep your receipts. If the landlord tries to deduct money from your deposit for poor aircon maintenance, right, you have proof that you have serviced it every quarter.
So what about at the end of the tenancy? Do you need to do a final servicing before handing over your keys? Yeah.
Most agreements will require you to return the aircon in good working order, right? Some don't specifically require a final professional servicing at handover, right? But yes, please plan for it. Don't skip the last servicing just because you're moving out.
Yeah, and key takeaway for the aircon okay, quarterly servicing is always the tenant's cost. Gas top up for routine maintenance, tenant's cost. Repeated gas top up, that means leak already. So landlord's problem. Chemical wash, check your TA, negotiate on it before you go for anything, and keep all your receipts.
Okay, our final and arguably the most important clause for tenants is called the minor repair clause. Alan, this one is in every single residential TA in Singapore.
Every single one. Okay, so and most of the tenants, right, don't fully understand what they are agreeing upon, right, until something breaks, right, then they
which is by Murphy's Law, happens on Friday night at 11:30 p.m. So let's break it down. The minor repair clause basically says if something in the unit needs fixing and the repair cost is below a certain threshold, that is on the tenant. If it's above the threshold, the landlord pays the excess.
Yeah, so typical threshold in Singapore TA range from $150 to $300, can be higher then per item, per repair, per incident. Okay, so there's a lot of per. So if a pipe tap needs fixing and it costs $120, that's fully on the tenant. And if the same repair costs $200 or $250, if your threshold, if your minor repair is $200, you pay the initial first $200, the landlord will cover the rest of the $50.
So examples of minor repair that tenants commonly end up paying for. Number one, light bulbs, like leaking tap, shower head, shower hose, toilet flush mechanism, right? Door hinges, replace door handle, door lock. Very common problems.
Yes. So these are pretty intuitive, then small everyday maintenance items. But when you get into the grey area, like the water heater is always the biggest headache.
Yes, the water heater, and it comes up very often, right?
Yes.
The water heater stops working. Very common. Number two, water heater bursts. Then suddenly you see water fall inside your toilet from the ceiling.
Water, Singapore weather so hot, why everybody still like to
you shower in cold water, man?
I shower hot water also, I don't know why.
So
hot, I still
Okay, so usually repair costs from this is upwards of $500 to $600.
I've seen more, like $700-800.
It can happen because they need to cut the ceiling.
Yeah.
So this one, who paid?
So this is the concept of wear and tear, correct or not? Because that becomes very, very crucial when you need to understand it. So because the answer right depends on why it stopped working entirely. Why?
Fair wear and tear, which is basically a legal concept. I know we say try not to use legal. Basically refers to the natural deterioration of an item from normal everyday use over time. A 10-year-old water heater that gives up and decides to go heaven one day, a tap wash, basically a tap that wears out after many years of use, or corrosion of metal parts over time. These are things that happen very naturally, and the landlord is expected to cover repair or replacement caused by this fair wear and tear.
Yeah, think about this this way lah. If you rent a property, right, you are paying to use it. You are not expected to hand back over in a brand new in box condition. Okay, so natural aging of the appliances is factored into the landlord's cost of renting the property.
But here's the flip side: wear and tear does not cover damage caused by tenants, negligence, or misuse.
I think the key word is negligence.
Yes, both things
it's
are
always
negligence and misuse.
Yeah.
If you have never serviced the aircon and the compressor burn, right? You drop something heavy and crack the basin or toilet bowl, right? If your kids draw on the walls,
that's common, right?
Those are not considered wear and tear. Alright, these are tenant caused damage, and you as the tenant is liable.
Yeah. So back to the water heater example. If the water heater is relatively old, say about 5 to 7 years, very good years already. And it fails by natural aging. Okay, that is like normal wear and tear. So the landlord should be covering that. So if it's relatively new, like 2 years old, 3 years old, and it breaks down because of something you did or you didn't do, okay, that means you didn't maintain it or whatever, okay, you didn't switch off, you kept it on all the time, okay, that's a different story, okay?
Okay, so this is something that a lot of tenants sometimes don't know. If the repair bill exceeds the minor repair threshold, don't just swallow the entire cost, right? Let's say the threshold is 200 and the repair is 500, right? You actually pay 200. The landlord actually pays the remaining 300. So always get a quotation from a good and reliable contractor and inform your landlord. This one, I cannot emphasize more. Always inform your landlord before proceeding with repairs above the threshold.
Yeah, so don't just go ahead and then fix it without informing the landlord. Even if it's urgent, send a WhatsApp, email, or something in writing. Say that, I have a water issue. The code is how much amount. Okay, I need it to get repaired. Then this creates a paper trail basically, and then it prevents any dispute on whoever have to pay for it.
Correct.
Like the landlord will say, you just go and repair, it costs more than the market rate.
Yeah, so in that kind of scenario, sometimes the landlord can push back and say you cover the full cost, just to let all our viewers, tenant viewers know.
Yes.
Okay, another thing to look out for, some TAs have what is called a 30-day defect liability period, also known as 30-day warranty, alright? At the start of the tenancy. During this window, any existing faults that were present when you moved in is a landlord's responsibility to fix. After that period, the minor repair clause kicks in.
Okay, so when you first move in, must do a thorough inspection of the house. Okay, check every tap, test everything, use everything, let the water heater run, on the aircon. Okay, if anything is already faulty, right, report it in writing immediately. So document it, take some photos, because if you don't raise it within the defect period, okay, after that you'll be held responsible.
And this is where actually a lot of tenants falter, because when they move in, right, then they say,
no, I no time to check.
Sorry, this one is no excuse. It is your responsibility as tenants to use every single thing, every single outlet, especially like electrical outlet also.
Yeah.
Okay?
So we will advise everybody just use everything. Make the full use of your house.
Like oven don't use, dishwasher don't use. These are all not excuses.
Yes.
You still must use.
Yeah. Turn it on and then test it.
So let's quickly talk about what's clearly the landlord's territory. Major structural repairs such as roof leaks, major plumbing failure, this one we can cover in another video. Structural damage, breakdown of major appliances that are clearly due to age and not negligence. Those fall onto the landlord.
Yeah.
The minor repair clause is not a blanket waiver of landlord's responsibilities.
Yeah, don't let the landlord hide behind that clause.
Don't let landlord bully you.
Yeah. So summary on the minor repair clause, you must know your threshold. How much is it at? Okay, like $200, $250. If there's any issue, make sure to report it. Either email, WhatsApp, okay, something that you have record of. Okay, you must understand the difference between wear and tear versus tenant caused damage. Okay, negligence, misuse. This one very important. Okay, and do your defect check when you move in. Very important.
Okay, let's wrap up again. Wrap up what we cover. 3 clauses. 3 things every tenant in Singapore needs to understand before they sign on the dotted line.
Yeah. So number 1, diplomatic clause. Okay, know your TA, know your minimum stay period, and your reimbursement obligation. Okay, not there, ask for it.
Number 2, aircon servicing clause. Quarterly servicing at your cost. Gas top up and maintenance at your cost. Repeated top up points to a leak, ask landlord to settle. Chemical wash, clarify this up front. Okay, this one can negotiate one. Keep, and most importantly, please keep all your receipts. Okay,
Number 3.
I mean, one thing I also want to say, I've had scenarios where tenant miss servicing,
Yes.
and then the landlord, the aircon breaks down. Landlord say you never do servicing. The full cost of that repair is on the tenant.
I also experienced before. It's a very messy situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so come to 3rd, the minor repair clause. Know your threshold, understand the fair wear and tear. Okay, do your defect check before you move in, and then always report any repairs in WhatsApp or writing. Okay, before you fix anything.
So at the end of the day, a tenancy agreement is still a legal contract. It protects both parties. The more you understand it going in, the fewer headaches you have during tenancy, and eventually when you exit and to take back your deposit.
Yeah. So if you have any questions of your own tenancy agreement, or you are looking for guidance on your rental property in Singapore, okay, you can reach out to us. Okay, our link is in the description below. Okay, so anything else that we can help you with?
So we are always here to help, right? We are happy to help. If you found this video useful, give it a like, subscribe to the Property Wealth Pod, and drop us a comment below. Let us know what clauses you've had issues as a tenant or as a landlord and a tenant, right? We read every single comment.
Okay, we are building a very big community here that to help people who wants to make smarter property choices in Singapore. Okay, we will see you in the next one.
Take care, guys. See you.
See you.